All right. Welcome to the round robin. I'm Connor Raisin. This is Jamie McCarroll, and this is our show. Um, we need to talk about the Raiders. JMAC, we have you have 100 to 1 future bet on the Raiders, and their first preseason game is Sunday. The line moved from Raiders +2 to Raiders -3 over the last couple of days. So the I've started to buy into your pitch on the Raiders, and you've had a few of these really long shot futures before. So I know we had the Heat in 2020 to win the finals at 80 to 1, and they made it all the way there, and we followed them the whole way there and made a killing off of it. So tell me about the Raiders.
Yeah, well, we've had some success, not just the Heat, but we had the Rams the year they went to the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
25 to 1. Um, when they won it 50 to 1. Last year I had the Ravens that looked really, really good all the
You
way
had
up until
Ravens at 18 to 1 last year, right?
I think them Say Flowers fumbled.
Well,
Um,
not only that, but
they outplayed the Chiefs the whole game.
in on Christmas Day, they beat the shit out of the 49ers. And then
Yeah,
the 18 to 1 bet that you had, I think the next day was like 7 + 750 or something like that after Christmas.
right.
So
And then the year before that had the Niners 14 to 1.
yeah.
And that was when Brock Purdy got hurt, and all three of the quarterbacks got hurt throughout the season.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been close. We've had a couple wins. We won the Bucks, and the Bucks won the Super Bowl. And so every year I
Yeah,
just look
we had the Bucks at 16 to 1 that year.
at 15 or 16 to 1,
Yeah.
and then I had them again the next year. Just like
Yeah. Say the reason that it's interesting that you like the Raiders at 100 to 1 to me is when you dive deep into a team that you really like, even when it doesn't work as perfectly, like last year you really liked the Magic and I still think you were right that they were undervalued for most of the season.
I got
But
them 200 to 1.
yeah, you bet the Magic at 200 to 1 and they almost won a first round playoff series.
Our
I mean,
thesis
dude,
was that they would trade for somebody, a scorer at the deadline,
right.
and had they done that, they certainly would have won the first round.
Right. And so I think the Raiders bet's really interesting because maybe Aiden O'Connell's good. And
That's a big part of it.
yeah, okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So like one team. So last year I bet the Ravens, but I was really close to betting the Lions. And the
After we watched week 1 when they beat the Chiefs or before the season?
no preseason, and it had a lot to do with how they finished the year before.
Yeah, they won 7 straight, I think, to
Yeah,
finish.
and they the last game of the season they played in Green Bay, and the Packers had to win to make the playoffs. And they went into Green Bay and they just dominated the game.
Yeah, just
It was
spanked.
like, oh, this is a really good team, and their trajectory is just up.
Mhm.
The whole team's really young. They have a new head coach who they're all clearly playing really hard for. And this that reminds me so much of this Raiders team. And if the Lions were had been 100 to 1 last year, I would have bet them instead of the Ravens.
Right.
But there's no way the Raiders should be 100 to 1. They
I,
have a lot going for them. And when Antonio Pierce took over the team last year, from that point on, the Raiders had the number one defense in the NFL. And through the draft and free agency, they've only gotten better. And you can just tell through, I watch all of Max Crosby's podcast. He has all the team on. They're just really all in on the team and on the head coach. And so the main reason that I think they can win the Super Bowl is I think they're having the number one defense is something we've seen before, where not only do teams make the playoffs, but if they as long as they get in, like thinking about the New York Giants when they won it with Eli Manning, it was
yeah,
all about the pass rush and the defense. That's how they won two Super Bowls. They beat the
right.
undefeated Patriots in the Super Bowl.
So the blueprint is for them to have the best defensive line in football.
They
and
do.
and you're saying possibly the best defense in football.
I think so. I think after looking at all the teams and really going deep into the Raiders, I think they have the best defense in all of football. And I think the reason we're going to see it, the thing I love about it so much is that nobody knows it. Nobody really is paying attention. And everybody knows who Max Crosby is, but they probably don't know, or last year didn't really know anybody else on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah,
And now they've signed Christian Wilkins,
yeah,
who I think is like a probably,
he's a stud.
I think he's a top three defensive tackle in the
He's
NFL.
he's so good that it doesn't like the ranking the guys and it isn't, I don't think, as pertinent for this type of bet. Like he's good enough that it's like he's like one of the best players at his position in the league. Like he's
For sure.
noticeably better than
And
like a mediocre defensive tackle.
there's nobody better, no position better to upgrade for the Raiders to pair with Max Crosby than tackle.
The guy that can blow up and grab double teams and get him one-on-ones.
Well, the thing
Well,
about Max is you watched him last year. He played the entire season injured. He got injured in week two. He played the whole season. He missed. He played like 98% of snaps.
yeah, he plays
And
every play.
he wins every single play. Every snap he wins his matchup, and or he draws a double team, which creates a mismatch somewhere else. And going back and watching his highlights, and just really just rewatching the game, he's winning consistently on the edge every single play. And the Raiders' interior just wasn't very strong. They had John Jenkins last year; he's pretty good, but Max was just consistently winning on the outside, and the quarterback was able to just step up in the pocket and either throw the ball away or complete a pass. And that is where Christian Wilkins is going to completely change the defense. If he is consistently winning up the middle and Max is consistently winning off the edge, it's going to create some big problems. And I think another really, really key part to this team is going to be Malcolm Kuntz, who is like an up and coming star, and nobody knows about him. And he
Yeah,
is
I don't
the
even know
edge
the position.
rusher on.
The
He's
other
the
edge.
edge rusher on the other side.
Okay.
And then with John Jenkins, who's a veteran, so it'll be John Jenkins and Christian Wilkins in the middle, Max on the edge, and then it's going to be Malcolm Kuntz. That's going to be the name that everyone's going to know at the end of the
Yeah.
season.
Well, I mean,
Malcolm,
if the with the amount of talent they have on the rest of the D line, like he could get like 10 or 12, maybe he gets like 12 sacks this year or
he's
something.
going to be one on one. They know
Yeah.
with everyone else on the line, with Max and Wilkins, Malcolm Kuntz is going to be the guy who consistently gets a one on one, and he's just like he's the guy that everyone's going to be like, who's this guy? Where did he come from? But he's really, really good. So that's just where it starts for me is the defensive line. They were so good last year to finish the year, and they have gotten better. Christian Wilkins is going to make them the best defensive line in football. And what that does for the rest of the defense, because if there was a weakness last year, it was in the secondary with the Raiders. But when the quarterback only has, when the secondary only has to defend for 2 or 3 seconds, and the
Yeah.
quarterback has to get the ball out, it just condenses the entire field. And uh, what I really love is that they already had Nate Hobbs, who was their number one corner. And as soon as Antonio Pierce came in, he just got rid of Marcus Peters. He brought in Jack Jones, who has just completely ascended to
Yeah, he's
an
a
elite
ball hawk. I
corner.
like Jones.
I think he's going to be another name. It's going to be Malcolm Kuntz, Jack Jones, and Robert Spillane. Those are the three guys that nobody really knows right now, and everybody's going to know who they are at the end of the season. They have the
Yeah.
Raiders. They're really just stacked on the defensive end. So you got two ball hawks. You got Nate Hobbs. You got Jack Jones, and they're only going to have to cover for a few seconds, and they're going to be going for some interceptions. Um, there were some serious ball hawks, and then Marcus Epps and Trayvon Moehrig, both those guys in the secondary to finish last year were really, really good. And so just looking at this team, I think they're going to really go to the next level and be, for sure, in my opinion, they're the best defense in football. And to see this line at 100 to 1, I bet it as soon as I saw it. And then the more I thought about it, the more I liked it. It was down to 90 to 1. I bet it again. And yeah, I'm very, very confident in the defense. And where it really is going to get interesting is on the offensive side of the ball, where I don't think anybody's really prepared for what potentially could be a really good offense.
Yeah, I think that, and we talked about this before, but we're gonna find out, and you're potentially going to be really early on predicting that this is not the same old Raiders, that their front office and with the organization has changed. And I mean, there is new people in those positions over the last couple of years, but you have a team that traditionally drafts very poorly, historically very poorly, that
Historically.
now took Brock Bowers, which was not a positional need. They just took the best player available, which we like. And most of the smart people that I listen to and follow in football like that method of drafting, even in other sports too. You just smart front offices take the best football player. Brock Bowers has a chance to be really, really, really good. So their offense could be good, their defense could be good, their defense could be great. Their offense will be
Their
good.
defense could be like elite, like one of the better ones we've ever seen.
Their defense could be elite, and what'll happen is half of their games, or like most of their games, the other team will be game planning for Crosby, and they'll be game planning to try and gimmick things up so that they won't have to deal with Crosby. And so if the rest of the defense is as good as you're saying it is, which is part of the value here,
Yeah.
then they're gonna like blow. They're gonna get after the quarterback and blow some teams out. We know the offense will be at least like uh, legit, like okay, because Minshew was great last year. He's always Minshew, and right now they have O'Connell slated to play ahead of him, which means he should be better. If he's not, then Minshew will play, and that'll be fine. They have weapons. I mean, Adams is one of the best players in the league. So the questions are not 100 to 1 questions. So I think we should